Welcome to Acton in Focus. I'm Vivian Prehl, your host, and with me is retired detective Prehl.
Greetings.
Well, and this is a special edition in the wake of all the sometimes fatal accidents we've had along Great Road. So we decided to have, this special edition just to talk about safety on the road. And Detective Prehl was the contact person at the police department in charge of safety. Is that correct?
I was the town's traffic and safety officer for 15 out of my 33 years serving with the police department. So traffic concerns came to me, and we would try to get them settled out through the town. The complaints came to my office, and I was the go-to guy.
And what have you made out of the different road accidents that we have had over the past month, actually?
I think it's a lot of things that play into it. Number one, it's the respect of the road. You just can't assume people that see you at all times. As I was explaining earlier, somebody crosses the road, they just can't assume that the person in the car sees them. You've got to wait, make eye contact, and then fair to go. Whether you're in a sidewalk, something with a flashing traffic signal that tells you to go. Sometimes people don't see that. You've just got to wait. Take that extra 1 or 2 seconds. Could mean saving a life event.
And you specifically proposed that we come to this location, and the location is just by the intersection of Concord Road and Great Road, for those of you watching, right by the car wash.
And when I was on the department, we did get a lot of complaints from this, especially for people trying to go over to the rail trail. At this end of town, it's a big connection for the people on the Pope Road side of town to come over and use the rail trail. And they felt that the crossing was a lot of times neglected by the operators that would drive by. And we did a few crosswalk stings down here and found that, yes, it is. People don't notice this one. And we've done some things with Mass Highway back then to get some signs or some better signs put out here to let people know this is a crossing. But once again, like I said, you can't assume. It's all about, you've got to make sure that person in that car sees you and stops.
Speaking of making sure that the person sees you, just the moment we got here, we saw somebody trying to cross with a bike, and 2 cars went by without stopping.
Yep. Thank you.
Oh, there is that. Look at it. 1, 2.
2 right by us, right there. Great time to have an Acton cruiser here too.
I know. Oh. 2 guys got in trouble.
Yep.
So what are some of the tips that you could give us as pedestrians or cyclists to make sure that we're not run over?
When you get to the crosswalk, as I say, don't assume that everybody sees you there. You want to definitely make sure that you're having eye contact with people coming in both directions. Here you would want to make sure that you watch the people on the westbound traffic that stop for you. When you start making your way into the crosswalk, and successfully the eastbound people see you. We've done crosswalk events, and I've done crosswalks, been in crosswalks as a pedestrian, where you get to the middle of the street and that person coming the other way still doesn't see you. And I'm 6 feet 4 inches tall, and it's pretty hard to miss me. But some people are just so focused on so many different things in their world.
And 2 things that come up. You talked about the visual, what we are like, which could include what we're dressed in, right?
Yep.
And then could we first speak to that, and then I bring in the second one?
Sure. So dress, you want to dress something that people can see you. You know, you don't want to be out at night dressed like in something like I have on right now. Vivian's pants, we would definitely see those. You want to wear something that's people can see you, especially that we're getting into the time change now, that it gets darker so early. Wear something reflective if you can. You know, when I walk in the mornings and evenings, I have a reflective vest that you can buy on Amazon for a couple of dollars. And if you're walking at the dark, have a flashlight, carry it to your side and wave it back and forth. Don't wave it at the driver, but it's just giving an indication when somebody's coming down the road that, hey, something's flashing out there. And the most important thing is walk against traffic. Should always be looking at the driver of the car. Don't walk with your back towards traffic. That's very dangerous. Even if there's sidewalks on both sides, I would personally choose the sidewalk that I could look at that driver in that car when I'm walking down the street.
And the second part was about the distractions of the drivers, the motorists. Can you speak to that?
These days, so many people are focused on so many things, whether it's just driving down the street. Some people get that tunnel vision. They're so looking at, oh, there's a road coming up. I can see the car coming out of the road, coming ahead of us. I got to start slowing down. They're focused on that car. Or somebody's focused at the kids in the back seat, trying to be the referee of the kids fighting in the back seat. Or they're so entrenched on a Bluetooth conversation with somebody that they're, not in the car. It's so important. We're entrusted when we get a license to go out in a large vehicle and drive. And it could be a huge weapon if it's not used correctly. And we've seen that through, some of the latest tragedies here in Acton, where, vehicle against a person is going to be a life-changing event.
Could you speak a little bit to how we as drivers, or what we should do as drivers to keep people on the road safe?
Like I said earlier when we first started, it's a dual responsibility. Pedestrians have responsibilities, drivers have responsibility. It's a joint effort, It's, the road is shared. You see these signs, it's shared responsibility. So pedestrians, yeah, your responsibility is, to be safe and to people to see you. And as we can see here, this gentleman is crossing and he made it. Here we go.
Yay.
But the dual responsibility, and as motorists, you've got a responsibility to act. You're entrusted, you have a license to act responsible. Be safe for the people in your car, your family, and the people around you. You have to focus. Does it mean not carrying that conversation off on your phone? Sure it does. For years we were, fine without Bluetooth cell phones and all these things. We got along just fine. Maybe sometimes we need to sit back and silence that phone when we're driving, or, focus on the road. The kids in the back, maybe they need to be corralled a little bit beforehand. But, from a person that was involved in an accident years ago, I got rear-ended at 40 miles an hour in Kelly's Corner, and the lady was turned around feeding her baby at the time. So been there and done that, and that was in a marked police cruiser. So
my
it was
goodness.
even more embarrassing for that woman.
So speaking of that, what are some of the hot spots when it comes to road accidents that you have observed in your life, the many years that you've served in Acton?
Well, Acton does have a lot of challenging roads, and we've had some very tragic accidents on roads that could go from a light traveled road to busy roads. Great Road has had its majority of busy and fatal accidents over the years. But there's been other roads in town that have had also some fatal accidents that you wouldn't think that, it's a small road. There's a lot of things going on in this world, whether it's a dog or a deer running out, a child running out, anything coming out in front of you. It's the reaction time, and that's where people need to react. They've got to be prepared to react.
Right. And then what are some of the challenges, and this is not directly related to your work as a police officer, but in terms of managing roads, since some are state roads and some are town roads, what has been your observation, and what are the challenges that we don't know?
Well, the challenges on Great Road has been in the past is town government knows it's a state-run road, so everything's got to go through the state. Is a little bit more red tape to get things done. Where town government, things are a little bit easier. You know, it's got to go through the proper channels. The police chief, the DPW director, the town manager, and the selectmen make the final decision on a lot of the road improvements in town. Working with the town, there's been a lot of good improvements they've made over the recent years. I'm a big pusher for the flashing lights at crosswalks. You know, just because they're there, take the extra second and press the button. It means an awful lot. But Acton has made a lot of improvements for pedestrian safety. I tip my hat to the sidewalk committee. I've served on several of those with suggestions. I know it's a process that the town manager has been working with and try to prioritize some of these. And you know, I'm happy to see that High Street is finally, looks like it's finally completed over there. That's been years. It's a busy road, but I think Acton has a good plan. It just needs to, it can't lose the momentum. That's all.
Oh, thank you so much. And I want to say, before I say thank you, is there anything that we haven't discussed regarding road safety? And
no, I just think it's once again, you can't assume. And you know, if I could give a couple of pieces of advice, it would be if you're going to go out in the early mornings, late nights, wear something appropriate that you can be identified with color. And the other half, if you're crossing in the roads, please, you've got to just take that extra second before you start stepping out into the roadway to make sure you're seen. You know, those extra 2 seconds, it could avoid a life-changing event. You want to make the eye contact with the operator, and you know, and if you are walking, please walk on the side that you can always see the operator's face.
So when we're talking about walking toward oncoming traffic,
you want to look towards the traffic as we're doing right now. You can
Right.
see the driver right here, because you know, what if that driver was having a medical condition,
Right.
and our back was turned to him?
Right.
We might have a few seconds to jump out of the way. As I said to you earlier, Vivian, I've trained with the school district for years on bus safety, and that's one of the things that the drivers and myself would teach the children, that when they would cross the road with the school bus, even though the red lights were on, the bus driver has that advantage. You can see what's going on. The kids always learn thumbs up from the driver would mean it's safe, or the bus driver felt it's safe for those kids to cross. So it's the same thing. Just take the extra time. You know, it might be a couple of seconds, but it's that time. Make the eye contact, and once again, it's the dual sharing of the road. It's that dual responsibility of the driver and the pedestrian.
thank you for coming out of your retirement to
Welcome.
give us this service, giving us some safety tips.
Anytime. The town of Acton was, and the citizens of this town were fantastic for me for 33 years. So this is the least I could do to give back a little bit of my time and say, I'm here for whatever you guys need.
Oh, thank you, Detective Prehl. And to all those watching, I hope you've paid attention to some of the tips that retired Detective Chris has shared with us. Thank you for watching this episode of Acton in Focus. Till next time.
Thank you.